Hello, everyone, and welcome. And thank you for joining us today for a topic that might challenge everything you thought you knew about retirement planning. So, for years, we've been told to save for retirement. And that's absolutely critical. But what if I told you there's a point where more isn't necessarily better? What if saving too much could actually lead to missed opportunities, unnecessary taxes, and even regret? So today we're going to explore oversaving and its consequences. And we're going to give you an understanding of whether you might be oversaving, the downside of extreme oversaving, so that you can find a balance between your current and your future saving needs. Now, if you're new to the channel, my name is Sally, and my work helps families plan for a stress-free retirement. And I'm excited to dive into what we're going to call today the oversaver's dilemma. So let's start with the big picture. You know, we are conditioned, and rightfully so, to believe that saving for retirement or any financial independence is one of the smartest moves we can make. And it absolutely is. Financial independence is a wonderful goal. But like anything, there can be diminishing returns. And there can even be some negative consequences to focusing on it to the exclusion of everything else. So think about it. If you have ever met someone who was incredibly wealthy, but you found them to be a little miserable or stressed, actually, or even full of regrets of the opportunities they might have missed in their younger years. Well, today that is the focus of our conversation, balancing both short and long-term savings, just to assure that you're covering all your bases to the best of your ability and not to the exclusion of any of them. So our goal today isn't to discourage savings, but to encourage smart savings and saving in a way that serves not just your life in the future, but your life today, building in liquidity and the tax efficiencies that are available to you both today and tomorrow. So where's the first place we're encouraged to save? Well, of course, it's our employer retirement accounts. And that is absolutely smart that we do that, especially to any matched level that our employer might have for us. And it serves us very well to target a taxable income level or a marginal tax bracket that we're trying to shelter down to. But one of the biggest and most surprising downsides of oversaving in a traditional tax-deferred account is we're creating a tax trap for ourselves. Because many people who diligently contribute to a pre-tax account, and they are enjoying those immediate tax benefits, but as they watch their nest egg grow beautifully, the problem comes in later, and it comes in the form of retired minimum distributions. Because once you hit age 73, the IRS says, hey, time to take that money out. And if your account is especially large, those forced withdrawals can be substantial. In fact, you might suddenly find yourself in a much higher tax bracket than you were even in your working years, paying a significant chunk of those hard-earned retirement dollars and giving it right back to the government. So these higher RMDs can impact other things in your retirement. They can lead to increased taxes on your Social Security, and they can also trigger some IRMA surcharges on your Medicare premiums. And that makes your Medicare as well as your Social Security much more expensive. And it has this cascading effect of unexpected costs simply because your pre-tax retirement accounts are large enough to trigger income through the RMDs. And then finally, there's something that we call the air tax. And while it's wonderful to leave money to your kids, to leave a legacy, a large traditional IRA can become a significant tax burden for them because they typically only have 10 years to empty that account, and they're usually doing it their peak earning years as well. So the inherited money gets them really highest marginal tax rates. And they may see their own tax credits or deductions being phased out simply because they've been pushed into a higher tax bracket where these things are excluded as well. So you might think you're leaving them a fortune, but the reality is you're actually passing on just a large tax bill. So the question becomes, are you saving for your comfortable retirement, or are you inadvertently just setting yourself up for a bigger payday for the IRS? Now, beyond the taxes, there's a more personal cost to oversaving, and we call that the opportunity cost of living. We all have periods in our lives that we would call our go-go years, and this happens when we're in our 40s or our 50s or our early 60s, and they're those years where we're healthy, we're active, we might still have kids at home or just leaving the nest. And it's our prime time to share experiences with them, whether it's travel or just pursuing hobbies with them, making memories that will last a lifetime, actually. But for many extreme savers, they're pushing these experiences off, saying, I'll do it in retirement. The problem? Well, later often comes with some physical limitations. And you might have all the money in the world at 80, but that safari to Africa might just be tough for you to take. Or that challenging hike up Machu Picchu, it may no longer be feasible. So you can always earn money later, but you can't earn back your health or your time. Research has shown us all that happiness and wealth have diminishing returns. In other words, the more money you have doesn't necessarily mean you're happier. Once your basic needs are met and you have a comfortable lifestyle, each additional dollar you save provides less and less additional happiness. So pushing yourself to accumulate far beyond what you need can lead to a regret of missed moments, missing out on family trips, and just valuable time with your loved ones. So personal growth experiences that really would truly enrich your life, you defer them and maybe don't have them at all. So you have to ask yourself, are you living your life today, or are you constantly deferring it to a future that may or may not unfold as you envision? Now, the third problem we see with aggressive savers is the risk that we take on if we're neglecting other savings by focusing only on long-term savings or retirement savings. Now, what does that mean? Well, as we know, retirement accounts have strict rules and penalties for early withdrawals before 59 and a half. And this can lead to a liquidity issue if it is our sole savings. You might have a massive retirement fund, but if you have a medical emergency or lose your job or face an unexpected home repair, that money is effectively locked away, or your access to it really costs you both in taxes and penalties. So while it's great for the future, it's not terribly good for the present. It doesn't help you with your current savings needs. If we have saved in retirement accounts, but just neglected our emergency fund and accessible taxable savings, we've missed an opportunity if we need those dollars today. So having both short-term and long-term savings are important, savings that are accessible to us in the event of emergencies. Now, another common scenario we save is, folks who are aggressively saving simultaneously carry some high interest debt, like credit card balances or expensive personal loans. And mathematically, it's almost always makes sense to pay off a 15 to 20% interest rate on your credit card than to hope for an 8% return in your retirement account. Yet the drive to save more can override this basic financial wisdom. So as we see this, high earners simultaneously have aggressive savings, but they also have credit card debt. And this does indicate that there's a disconnect between their current lifestyle and they're saving for their next life event. So finally, neglecting your current goals is another problem with oversaving. Are you putting off buying a home or saving for your child's education or making essential repairs to your home because every dollar is going into your retirement account? So a strong financial foundation requires balance, that your current life, your current family needs, and your short to medium term goals are just as important to you as your long-term retirement goal. So if there's such a thing as too much, then how do we find enough? And this is where thoughtful planning comes in. And it's highly personal. Your enough is not going to be what your neighbor's enough is, what your siblings' enough is, or what your best friend's enough is. It's going to be very personal to you. And how is that? Well, the first step, and we've got a 5-step process that we recommend to folks, is the first is to define your ideal retirement lifestyle. Now, the farther away you are from retirement, this may take a little bit of imagination, and it may take a little bit of just thinking. What might it be like? And are you going to stay in your current home? Can you imagine that? Or are you maybe considering moving? Or what do you do in addition, want to do in addition to your retirement and your lifestyle, your current lifestyle? Do you want to travel? Are there hobbies you've neglected that you'd like to work a little bit more at? Do you want to visit your grandkids, or better yet, just take them with you on travel vacations? Are you thinking you might downsize or upsize in your home? And if you decide to move, it's really important to look, where am I moving? What are the property taxes? What are the lifestyle costs going to be there? And you can make a decision you're going to spend lavishly or just live simply. But the key here is to be specific. We usually start with just your basic needs. If you decide you're going to live in your home currently, then your current budget is probably a good place to start, and to layer on top all of those other goals that you might have, whether they're travel, hobby, or grandkids. Now that you know what your expenses are, the second step is to calculate that annual income that you need to provide that based on your lifestyle. What do you think your annual expenses are going to be? And then this should be your realistic budget, not just a guess. But when you look at your budget needs, it gives you a sense of what your income needs are going to be. Now that you know what your income needs are going to be, let's take a look at your guaranteed income sources. It could be your Social Security, or it could be a pension. But get estimates for these and put them together, because this is the amount that is going to reduce what you need to generate from your savings. So if we've got a guaranteed income of that reduces our savings requirements to about $40,000 a year, then we know that if we're using the 4% withdrawal rule, which is a safety net, if you withdraw about 4% from your account, you are relatively assured you won't run out of money. So if you need that 40,000, then we know that your savings, your targeted savings, needs to be about 25 times that, or about $1 million. So you know what your targeted savings should be to generate the income you need. Now you know exactly what you have saved. And given your savings history, you can decide whether saving in your retirement account means you will have oversaved if you continue to save in the habits that you have, or if you need to make some adjustments. But once you understand that you're going to hit your enough number, well, it may be time to start shifting your focus a little bit. Maybe you should limit those savings to that pre-retirement savings account and contribute maybe to a Roth IRA for tax-free growth, but also taxable withdrawals in your retirement. Or maybe you want to open a taxable brokerage account for a little bit more flexibility than even your Roth IRA would offer you. So you might even make a decision that you want to pay down your mortgage or save for your kids' college education or just reinvest in yourself. So the goal is to really prioritize your savings, your targeted savings, and once you hit that, to diversify away from your pre-tax savings. Because retirement is a personal goal, and it's not anything more than that. It's when you realize you're hitting your targeted number, then the approach is to give some consideration to other savings issues like current needs or taxes. So what does a more balanced approach look like in practice? Well, again, the first step should always be to make sure that you have a robust emergency fund. And that means you've got 3 to 6 months of your living expenses in an easily accessible savings account. This will protect you from needing to access retirement funds to take care of those unforeseen circumstances like a health emergency or a home repair. It gives you, or even a loss of a job, it gives you that amount of money that can cover you for 3 to 6 months, 12 months if you feel more comfortable with that. Once you have that emergency fund, the second step would be to pay off those high credit card debt or your high interest personal loans, if you have them, before you start funneling every extra dollar into your retirement accounts. The guaranteed return from eliminating high interest almost always beats market returns. And then the third thing would be if in your pre-tax retirement accounts you are hitting that enough number, then start to embrace some Roth accounts, because for many, a Roth 401k or a Roth IRA in retirement can become a powerful tool because you pay taxes now, but your withdrawals in retirement are completely tax-free. And so this could be a huge advantage over required minimum distributions in a pre-tax retirement account, because it allows you to withdraw lump sums for significant events tax-free. And it's also fantastic as to leave a tax-free legacy to your heirs. Now, once you've looked at Roth accounts, the other thing would be to utilize a taxable brokerage account, because it's even more flexible than a Roth account. This is money that isn't locked up. It's there if you need it before retirement, offering often an immense liquidity and flexibility without penalty. But as opposed to that liquid savings account, you're probably going to target more long-term investments with better returns. And then so many clients of mine who actually end up doing what they want to do create experiences budgets. And those are intentionally allocated money towards travel, towards hobbies, family outings, or anything that just brings you joy right now. These aren't just frivolous expenses. They are investments into your well-being and to memories that you'll keep forever. Now, once you've gone through this review of your savings and the optimal way for you to save, it's good for you to review this plan, because life changes, right? That's the one thing that's certain. And so your income will change, your expenses will change, your goals will change, and even your health will evolve. So review your retirement plans annually with a professional to ensure that you're still on track for your enough number, and not just blindly accumulating beyond what serves you. The key in all of this is intentionality, making conscious choices about where your money goes to best serve both your future and your present. So let's recap this if we can. First and foremost, and importantly, remember the balance is the key here. True financial well-being considers both your future security as well as your present enjoyment. Second, be aware of the tax trap that you could be creating for yourself in saving too much in your pre-retirement accounts, because RMDs, increased Social Security taxes, and Medicare costs, well, those are cumulative tax burdens that you will be creating for yourself, and even a tax burden for your heirs. And then third, value your experiences and don't make the mistake of underliving today during your go-go years when your health and your time allow, because again, those are very finite resources. And then finally, ensure that you have a solid financial foundation today with ample liquidity and a strategy for managing your debt. And then finally, take the time to define your enough number with ample liquidity, because retirement planning isn't a competition with anyone else. It's just very personal to you. And it's about achieving your personal financial independence and living the life that you want. Because ultimately, your money should serve your life and your values and your goals, not the other way around. So thanks for attending. And if you like what you've heard, give us a like below. If you would like to hear more of this sort of content, please just follow us. And if you would like for us to discuss your individual situation, just schedule an appointment at the link here below.